I just said, hi, my name's Lori Pittick, and I work as a sign language interpreter. I work for LBP Interpreting here in Mobile, Alabama. A typical day in my life is crazy most of the time. I never know where I'm going to be, from a doctor's office all the way to a business meeting, a corporate business meeting. I also work a lot as a video relay interpreter, which is kind of telephone calls for deaf, which I handle between deaf and their hearing peers. So if they need to make a telephone call, they just call me up, and up they pop up on my TV screen, and I call their peer or doctor or friend or mother on the telephone, and I'm their voice on the phone. And when their friend, mother, doctor is speaking, I'm the signs that the deaf person's seeing. There's so many other things to do with interpreting also. You can be working in schools, as I said, doctor's offices, lawyers' offices, business meetings. Anywhere you see people, you'll see an interpreter. There are sometimes staff positions that are with schools and other agencies, sometimes government agencies. They're full-time positions, and you'll get your benefits out of that, your health benefits. There's also what we call freelance interpreting, which is really great if you need a very flexible schedule where an agency will call you for a job, and you have the option of whether taking the job or not, just how it fits in your schedule. You can usually work up to about 20-25 hours a week. I know it doesn't sound like a lot. The pay actually is pretty good. So depending on how you want to run your life, whether you want the flexibility of accepting a job or you want the stability of a regular 9-to-5 job, you can work for an agency or as a staff position. There's a lot of variety in our work, and we really always enjoy it. So if you want to become an interpreter, here's some things that you probably want to go through. First of all, there's an educational requirement now to become an interpreter. There's several four-year colleges around that do offer four-year degrees in interpreting. Just check around. I'm sure you can find them out. It's a good idea to just start at a junior college that will offer ASL as a language. It'll give you an idea of whether you have a feel for the language, if you have the skill for the language, and if this is something you're really going to want to do. Then you can kind of look into the four-year colleges, and there's some awesome colleges around that have great programs. Most of those colleges, and once you graduate, will offer testing in order to get you started along the way. That is one thing that you become very familiar with as an interpreter, especially when you're starting out, is to work no matter anywhere around the country. You have to have national certification. Well, it also helps on the pay too. If you have that national certification, it allows you access into most arenas that you can work in, and it also ups your pay. Depending on where you live, you might want to check out the state requirements in the state where you live. Some states do have a licensure law where that you have to have this certification in order to work there. Other states don't have it, but they still require some sort of certification to it. A lot of places have internships when you're starting out that are willing to take you on, and some are paid into internships, so you can kind of learn as you grow. But you can also specialize in certain areas. There's theatrical interpreting, which would be theater, music festivals. There's mental health interpreting, which has to do with mental health. And then there is legal interpreting, which in order to go into the courts, you do have to have that specialized certification. The skills needed for this job are really varied. I think that's one of the reasons that our national organization required a four-year degree. You really do have to have a strong English base, and not British lit, but I'm talking about English as far as speaking English and understanding English. Having a broad scope of experiences also helps you when you go into the different settings, whether it be from medical to business. You have a little taste of something and know what they're talking about. It's a whole lot easier to interpret. Good to have people skills because you're working with people all the time, which is one of the reasons I love it. I love talking to people, so here I am. Well, the best and worst parts of this job. The best parts, I get to meet all kinds of interesting people. Love learning different things. I was interpreting in a carpentry class, so I can tell you how to build a house from the ground up. Being at the birth of a baby, I've interpreted births and celebrations and really great parts of people's jobs, that if they've gotten a promotion, which also can kind of bring me to the worst part. Being at the deathbed and having to interpret for someone is saying goodbye to a loved one, or anything in that kind of thing, or having to tell somebody they're fired when you know that they have 4 kids at home that they have to eat or feed, and those are the tough times. I think the only other best worst kind of thing is, as I said before, meeting people, but along to the worst, the paperwork. There is some paperwork involved. I'd love to say that there isn't, but if you want to get paid, you have to do some paperwork. My final advice to anybody who would want to become an interpreter is, most of all, find the deaf community in your area. Just contact a local agency who might work with deaf people and find out where they would go. A lot of times there's deaf clubs, and interact with them. The best interpreters usually come from people who have been around the deaf community and learn from them. You need to learn the culture and their environment and how they communicate with each other and you. It's the best way to really learn the language. It also builds trust between the deaf community and yourself. That is critical in being an interpreter. As I said before, the different kinds of settings you would be, from the doctor's office to a business meeting to wherever, a workplace. You are being put in their situations where normally with hearing people you would not be there. So you need to have that trust that they know that you're going to voice exactly what they sign, and that when someone's speaking, you're going to render that message faithfully back to them. Some of these situations are very personal, so the deaf community wants to know that you're going to have confidentiality about what goes on in those situations. They have to trust and know that you're not going to go out and say anything to anybody else. That is probably the key to being a successful interpreter, is having the deaf community trust you to carry their message into the world, and to have the trust that their message will be carried into the world from you.